All right, so this is a presentation on my SMART goals that I did the second semester in spring 2018. So just to give you a setting of the school that I did these SMART goals at, it is a middle-class suburban high school in southwestern Virginia. That's 83% white and 36% of students come from a low-income family. And then the classroom setting that I did these SMART goals in was just one specific class that I chose, and it's 12th grade DE Government. There's 27 students. They are 17 to 18 years old. They're predominantly white, and they are high achieving students, and I can tell that because they did enroll in a DE Government class. So just to explain DE Government, this is from the high school website of what DE Government entails. It's a class that focuses on political institutions of the national government in the U.S., and it specifies Congress, the presidency, and the court system, but it is also, like government in general, is a requirement to graduate, so all of the 12th graders have to take government to graduate. But this DE Government also gives them 6 college credits, so they have 2 college courses at the end of this class. So if they do really well and get an A or a B, then they don't have to take government in college. So my SMART goal for this year was for the school semester, 100% of my students will make measurable progress on expository writing. By the end of the school year, each student's essay grade will increase by 10%, and 75% of my students will score a 90% or higher on their essays. So I did 3 essays through the semester. The first was a political plank essay. The second was a create your own country essay where they created their own government system and included facts. The government set up the Constitution and elections, and that was also their midterm. And then the third essay was a continuation of the country project where they had to talk about the executive branch and bureaucracy. So the average essay grades, the first essay was an 89%, the second essay was a 92%, and the third essay was an 88%. And you can see these are the students, and then you can see how they did with Essay 1, Essay 2, and Essay 3. So this is kind of a lot going on, but this graph basically has all the students, and then the light blue is how they did on Essay 1, the dark blue is how they did on Essay 2, and the yellow is how they did on Essay 3. So you can see the first student got a 90 on the first and third essay, but then got an 85 on the second essay. And this is just a graph of the percentage of students who received each grade, A through F. So in Essay 1, they had an 81% average. In Essay 2, it was a 74% average, and in Essay 3, it was a 70% average, so it did decline, the A's declined throughout the semester. But I credit this to the fact that they're second semester seniors who have kind of given up at the end of the school year because this was administered a couple weeks ago and they're already into college and just want to be graduated and gone. But there were only a few B's and C's, there were no D's. There are a few F's, and that was either because students didn't turn in assignments or they only did part of the assignment, so they got 50. And then so I had 3 strategies for attaining my goals. The first one was to give feedback on all written work. So when they submitted things on Google Docs, I was able to put comments on the side. And then when they submitted printed work in, I was able to do handwritten comments. My second strategy was to give students time in class to work on their assignments. So this is a part of my lesson plan that says students will use class time to work on their midterms. So this way they could talk to me or talk to my cooperating teacher about their writing and their government structure. And then my last strategy was to create assignments that are applicable to students' lives. So for example, they're 17 and 18 years old, they're able to vote in November. So we learned about the election system, we learned about the US system, and when they created their own country, they could implement ideas from the US, or they could change it if they didn't like our US structure. So this was really applicable to their lives. So I did not meet my SMART goal. I had 51% of students improve from Essay 1 to Essay 2, only 33 improved from Essay 2 to Essay 3, and only 11% included in each subsequent essay, so they did better on each one. Only 3% of students improved by 10%, but I did meet the last part of my goal because 76% of students received A's on their assignments. So Essay 1 was a plank, which is kind of a platform for one of their candidates for a campaign. So this was my rubric where they had to include background on the issue, identify current problems, how their candidate will improve the issue, legislation for the issue, and then just writing mechanics and organization. And so this is an example of student A's work. I gave him comments that he was too informal, but I commended him on his background within his writing. This is student B's. Hers were mostly like she had to capitalize some stuff, but I said that her synopsis of what her candidate would do to fix foreign policy was really good. Essay 2 was kind of a starting point for students' final exam, and this portion of their project was to create a country, their government system, the Constitution, and elections. So these are some of the flags that the students created, which were pretty creative. And so I had a rubric and a checklist for this one. So the rubric includes country facts, the Constitution, the type of government, and elections. And then I also gave them a checklist so they could see exactly what was needed in each one of those sections and like the point value for each one. So this is some examples of student A's work. And he had some really good ideas, but in his preamble of his Constitution, it was very similar to the US's. So I suggested that he come up with some of his own ideas and reword some things to make it more unique. This is student B's assignment, and she did a really good job, but I said that she could do better explaining her two political parties, because she said there are two political parties, but she didn't really go into detail with like what exactly they could do, so I wanted her to delve deeper into those parties. And finally, Essay 3 was a continuation of the second project, and this asked them to create an executive branch and a bureaucracy for their own country. So this is an example of the rubric and the checklist. So they had 4 sections on the executive branch listing their leader, how much they were paid, what their responsibilities were. And then the second section was about the bureaucracy, like their cabinet or their vice president or departments within their cabinet. So this is student A's work. He said that the leader will be paid in Sun coins. And I was like, what is a Sun coin? Like, how many Sun coins? What is this worth? So I asked him just to be more specific on some things. And then this is student B's. She had a really cool idea that in between terms, the president should take a 2-year break to spend time with their family or to think about more political ideas. So I thought that was a really cool idea, so I wrote that to her. But I also said that she could talk more about how the cabinet and the vice president and the president all work together. So I gave her some more ideas about how to delve deeper into that. So this is just a graph of the points scored by student A and student B. So on Essay 1, they both received a 95. And on Essay 2, student A got a 91, and student B did better and got a 97. And then in the last essay, student A went down a little bit more and got a 90, and then student B returned to a 95 average. So my comments that I made to the students were mostly grammatical and analytical. So I would talk about like lowercase versus uppercase, commas, that kind of grammatical stuff that they still have problems with even as 12th graders. And then I also had analytical, so I wanted students to think deeper about their countries. So I asked questions like, how does the cabinet work with the president and vice president? Expand upon political parties and give more details about what these parties support. And how do your government's branches all work together? And so I did not meet most of my SMART goals. 100% of my students did not improve, only 11% did. But over 75% of my students did get A's, which was really exciting. And my reflection is that I would grade all essays as first drafts because in my first essay, I graded it and then gave it back to them, and then they made all my comments and suggestions, and then that's the grade I took, was their final. The second 2, their finals will be turned in a couple weeks, so those are just their like rough drafts. So the grades were still better for the first one. I would create clearer rubrics in the future and show students exactly what I'm looking for on the rubric, like when I'm like, expand on this political party, I would go up there and talk about like write their responsibilities, write their viewpoints, like tell them exactly what I was looking for, and then I would go over more of the expectations on these rubrics. So those are my SMART goals. Thank you.